I'm on the NFT Pal website. I'm already logged in, and I'm going to click on the Projects button. If you've never created a project before, you're going to get presented with the option to create an empty one, or you can start with a demo. Now, if you just want to get familiar with NFT Pal, I encourage you to actually start with a demo because you're going to get some pre-built assets, and then you can see how the project is laid out. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to click on Start with Demo. Now that the project demo is loaded, you'll notice at the top, this is where the project title goes. I'm going to call this, let's just rename this to my first NFT project. And on the side, you'll notice that there's two characters. One is Joe and one is Jane here. The way NFT Pal works is there's a concept of layer groups, and each layer group comprises of multiple layers. So I'm going to just minimize these two so you can see this more clearly for a second. So in this case, there's two layer groups, Joe and Jane. And if I expand, let's say Jane, you can see all the different layers inside this. So if you were creating an empty project, you would actually create the layers yourself. But in this case, this is a pre-built asset, so it has everything kind of laid out for you already. You'll notice that each layer, if I click on one of these, once you click on a layer, you can see all the different images within the layer. So in this case, there's 3 images, and then each image, when you click on that, you can see there's the title over here. You can rename it, by the way, if you like, to something else. And there's something called the rarity weight. This controls how often or how rare something is in your collection. So if you turn it up all the way, it's just going to show up way more often. If you turn it down to, let's say, 1, it's going to be very rare in your collection. I'm going to just reset this back to 25. There's also something called not an attribute, and I'll get back to that a little bit later. So let's just get back to the layers, for example. So within this layer group, it has a background, item, hair, shoes, shirts, ear. If you click on this handle, you can actually move things up and down like that. Let's say if I move the background up here, you can see in the preview image, I'm actually just going to enlarge this a little bit. This basically shows you like a render of how your layers are going to be put together. So you have to make sure that it's in the correct order from front to back. And you can see that the lowest level, like the layer in the background, I should say the layer that's all the way at the back is at the bottom, and the one at the top gets rendered in the front. Okay, so if I go to Joe next, and I click on background, you can see that Joe has the same backgrounds as Jane, but he has a few different things. And this is the power of having layer groups. It lets you create different kinds of characters or different groups that have unique traits just to that specific, for that specific purpose. So Joe has a different set of pants. He has a different kind of hair. If I click on hair here, you can see he has short blue hair, short gray hair, short black hair. And then he also has a beard. In some cases, he has no beard, and then other cases, he has a large black beard, large brown beard. And again, you can change the title, or you can change the rarity. If you do have other images you want to drop in here, you simply drag and drop from your file folder, and it'll add it to this specific layer group. One of the other things you can do is you can click on this little button over here and just shuffle your images to see that, you can take a look and see whether whether the collection is kind of looking okay. It's just giving you a rough idea of like what some of the combinations are going to look like. Let me go back now. So now once we've kind of put together all the layers, I'm going to click on one thing I'd actually like to just quickly show is that within each layer group, you can specify the number of NFTs for it. So in this case, there's 50 NFTs for Joe and 50 NFTs for Jane. So now when I go into the configuration, which is next, this there's an image width and image height. It shows you what the ratio is of your images, and I mean, if you click on lock ratio, it'll default to your image size. Otherwise, you can simply specify, like, I want my images to be 3000 by 3000. If I take out the lock here, I can put this as 3000 by 3000. But let's just move that back to what it was, 1492. Sorry, let me just get that back to the correct. Okay, that's it. The next thing here is the NFT name prefix. This is what your NFT name is on the blockchain. So I can call this meme, because that's the name of this project. This is Cardano, and then I'm going to say this is, for the description, I'm just going to say this is my first NFT project. And down here we have something called additional attributes. These attributes are common to all your NFTs. So for example, like, you might want to include your website. You can say my website is https memes.io. I'm going to add a Twitter. I mean, for now I'm just going to call it memes. And this is something that you can add, like if you have like an author, or you want to put in the artist's name, or some of your social media links, you can add that under this additional attributes property. Okay, so once you're done setting up the project, the preferences for your project, you can click on next to go to the preview. Now what this has done is it's created a collection of 100 NFTs, you can see at the top here. And we said we wanted 50 for Joe and 50 for Jane. And if I scroll down here, you can see that it's created all 100 NFTs. And as you can see, the prefix says mean001. That's the symbol name or your NFT prefix that you gave it. And when you click on each one of these, it's going to show you the attributes associated with that NFT. And in this case, you can see mean002 has the supermarket background, it has no beard, a white t-shirt. So you can quickly look at all the attributes associated with this NFT. The other thing you can do is, once everything has been generated, if you look on the left side, you'll notice that there's a filtering section here, and it shows you how many of each attribute have been generated. So in this case, there's 31 office backgrounds, and this is a good way to filter if you're looking for something specific. Let's say you wanted to say, I want to see all my office backgrounds. You can see that here. But you might also say, I want to see the office backgrounds and any NFTs that have, let's say, a large brown beard. And of course, in this case, only the Joe characters are going to show up because they have the office background and a large brown beard. So you can filter stuff like this, which is very handy when you want to see, specific combinations of what has been generated. Now, let's say you're not happy with this and you're like, I want something a little bit different. You can just keep hitting the regenerate collection, and it'll again randomly generate a whole new set of NFTs that are specific to the layout that you set out before. But it'll randomize the collection once again. So in this case, let's say we have 30 in the backyard, and let's see stubble beard. You can see 4 NFTs have generated here. At the top, it shows you how many NFTs have been generated for the filter set that you currently have enabled. One other thing that you could do is, I'm not going to show this here, but you can click on export to CSV, and it'll give you a CSV file which you can import into Microsoft Excel or Google Docs, and you can really kind of like do a full analysis on the NFTs that have been generated. Let's say you have like specific things you're looking for. You can actually look in your spreadsheet and see exactly what attributes and traits the NFTs have. Let me go back to the layer collections. I want to show you something now. Let's say for Joe, I'm going to go into the beard, and I'm going to say the stubble beard. I'm going to put the weight down of this to, let's say, 5. Now let's go back to the preview collection. One thing to keep in mind is if you've changed something on your layer items configuration, you do have to hit regenerate collection. So I'm going to do that again. Now let's look down here. You'll notice under beard, everything else is kind of around the same. There's like no beard, which is 12, 14, 18, but stubble beard is 6 because we turn down the strength of how often it shows up. So that way you can actually control how rare something is. One thing I would like to show you, which is very specific, I wanted to save this actually for a little bit later. I spoke about the not an attribute checkbox. So let's say you do not want something to show up as an NFT trait within your metadata. So in this case, there's a special shirt that Joe has, and it's this one. It's called the blue dress shirt. You can see it has one sleeve, but the way this had to be rendered was with just this long sleeve shirt, there's a specific sleeve that goes just with this shirt. So if I click on this, you can see this is marked as not an attribute. And that's because we just don't want this one trait called blue dress shirt sleeve to show up as an actual trait in your metadata. Because this sleeve and this shirt go, I guess, no pun intended, hand in hand, but they go together. So we want to show that this is the blue dress shirt, but we don't want to show that this sleeve is actually a metadata attribute. So you would check that, called not an attribute. Now the other thing I want to show you is in this selection of shirts, you can see when I click on this, you can see the shirt selection here. Let me see if I can. All of these other shirts are short sleeve shirts. So the special shirt is this one. And whenever this blue dress shirt is selected, we want to make sure that it always matches with this sleeve over here. So I'm going to show you now how the rules work. When I expand the rules, you can see over here it says blue dress shirt must match the blue dress shirt sleeve. And then likewise, we also have the blue dress shirt sleeve should always match the blue dress shirt. Because what's going to happen is as NFTPal goes through all the permutations of your NFTs, it just takes all the layers and tries to like come up with a unique combination for everything. But if you have specific rules, for example, this sleeve only goes with the blue dress shirt, you can specify that as a rule here. And one thing I kind of just want to make clear is that when you create rules, they get processed from top to bottom. So you do have to be a little bit careful when you're creating rules, because if you have one rule at the top and then you have another rule somewhere down along the chain, if it somehow contradicts the previous rule, it'll just get overridden. So just something to keep an eye out for. Okay, so let me go back to the collection preview. You can see that once all your NFT images have been generated, you're pretty much good to go. Like NFTPal gives you the chance to really double check and triple check all of your attributes. You can export it to a CSV to like actually look at it offline and just make sure that everything is looking up on the up and up. And of course, you can also scroll through all the images and make sure that everything is looking good. And really, once you're happy with everything, you can move on to the next step, which is the finalized collection. And once you click on finalize collection, and we have a couple of options. Let me just click on that right now. So right now the blockchain is set to Cardano. So if you do select, right now we support NMaker and Tango Crypto, and then standard minting is just, if you're a developer and you just want the metadata files and you have your own custom minting platform, that's the selection you would make. And that's about it, really. I'll have another video on exactly how the image generation part works. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll talk in the next video. Thank you.